That's it.
Click go live and we should be on, mate.
Are we live? I don't even know.
Let's have a look.
Are you on?
Yeah, we are live, mate, I think.
We are live. How are we doing, guys? I am joined by the one and only supernatural Neil Pickup. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right, mate. I'm sweating bobbers. Apologies to everybody in the super chats. I am.
What's going on here? Sorry, one sec, mate.
You're definitely on. I can see you, mate. You're definitely on.
Close it.
We are live. How we doing, guys?
Right,
Hey, slight delay, but you're on. I can see us.
Neil Pickup. How you doing, buddy?
Come there.
Gary Goslin just came in and
Close
in
this
the
one.
chat and said, "Let's go."
Move your hand.
So we're on.
I think we're good now. Sorry, guys. First time we have done a live with a guest. Oh, why can't I hear Neil now?
You should still hear me. I think
I can hear you, mate. How you doing?
I'm all right, brother. I'm really excited to be on here again, mate. It's been a while.
It has, mate. I mean, there's been a lot of exciting things happening.
Wow, hasn't there just? I mean, I know we're on here to talk about various things tonight, mate, but can we talk about the white elephant in the room before we get going?
Let's do it.
The response you got at the Royal Albert Hall, mate. What? I mean, wow.
That was incredible, honestly. I'm still sort of speechless by it all. It was just incredible and just a perfect way for me to kind of end the career.
It was incredible, mate. I can honestly say, having been at some enormous fights, commentated some massive events, truly massive events with massive crowds, the pro rata level of noise, the response when you came out, I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. It was incredible. It
was absolutely mental, mate. I've never seen anything like it. It's one of the best experiences I've ever had.
Do you know what's really nice about that, Loz? And rightly so, and I want to sort of endorse this to the absolute hilt. Guys like yourself, guys like Terry Hollands, you know, the guys who and obviously the mighty Felix.
Yeah.
Mark's, I figure, probably more than anyone else, has had that almost special place where nobody cares how Mark does in the tournament. Nobody, just the level of respect that he commands for being a man in his 50s who's able to do what he does, which is incredible. He sort of transcended the whole sport and the performance emotionally linked to him. And if you had any doubt, if anybody had any doubt that you've gone to a different place in the hearts and minds of strength fans globally, I think that just completely blew that theory out of the water. The level of popularity that was clearly demonstrated amongst the hardcore of strength was genuinely moving. It was like, whoa. It was
I got to say, I think it was better than when I won Europe's Strongest Man. Even though it was a smaller crowd, I think it was, I don't know if it's just the venue or what it meant in terms of, to me as an athlete, because when I won Europe's, it was amazing. You know, it was an amazing achievement to beat Thor and he was pretty much winning everything at that time.
Yeah.
And I was, I wasn't even I don't feel I was in the peak of my kind of career. I kind of trained hard and had a really good day with some great events. But this for me meant more because I knew it was the last show, regardless of how I placed. And it was never about winning for me. So to get that response, even though I wasn't challenging for the title, just shows that the effort that I've put in throughout 15 to probably about 17-year career when I first started. It's amazing to see how much the sport's grown, to see how much people have invested into what I do. And I mean, I can tell, I know you've kind of been through this yourself with the arm wrestling. I was fucked training for this comp. My knee was screwed. I was in pain every single session. I've, even since then, I've got a few more issues. And it's not that I don't want to compete. I'd love to compete against the likes of Tom Stoltman and Luke and Novikov and all these amazing athletes. but I've put my body through the mill through 17 years of relentless kind of hard work. I'm also,
to be honest, Loz, never truer words were spoken, mate, because you've had 3 career-ending injuries at least. I mean,
I've probably had more than that if you kind of you look at them. But
injuries, real, and it's not just the injury. It's not just that your body will recover often. It's the
mental side. Whereas, like coming back from the first injury, I was still young and hungry. This time, I was literally crapping my pants that something was going to go on the frame, and and these were events that. In my prime, I was like, I'm winning this. There's no question about it. This is my event.
I remember what you said to me on the night when you put the frame down. Because place is going crazy. It's the funny stuff, in it. Place is going nuts. So I walk over to Loz and I'm like, mate, awesome, well done. Get your breath back and we'll do the interview. And you're like, breath's fine, knee's fucked.
The breath wasn't an issue. I can always come up with something to say, but yeah, the knee was screwed.
Oh, funny stuff, mate. It was funny stuff, but yeah, I loved it, mate. I loved seeing the way that the fans have taken to you, and as I say, rightly so. The fact that, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? The pandemic, the whole doom and gloom that COVID-19 has introduced to the world, and people have suffered in so many ways, and sport has suffered in so many ways, any and every sport, But the one thing that's come out of it is it's given people like yourself the opportunity to get online and to give people the window on your soul, and that in a degree of depth and honesty that they never have seen before in any televisual format. No drama, no script, none of that. Just, hiya, I'm Laurence Shahlaei. You know what I mean?
It's a different part to I guess my career now, and it's been, I'm sort of blessed. I kind of see it as a blessing that I've got something I can move into, because a lot of athletes don't. No. There's a lot of athletes that when it's time to finish competing, we're like, well, what do I do now? And I'm very lucky that I've got a number of areas that I'm still involved in the sport in. And I love it. I've loved this sport for probably since I was about 5, I think, watching World's Strongest Man on TV, just been fascinated by it for so long. Yeah. I've been lucky enough to compete in 11 World's Strongest Man contests, competed all over the world, done multiple international shows everywhere. It's been amazing. Even with all the injuries, I wouldn't change it all, because it's got me to where I am today.
Yeah, I mean, it's it really is an emotional roller coaster. It's a physical roller coaster. I mean, going back to what you were saying a moment ago, it's not the lack of desire, it's not the lack of aspiration, but it's also the realization that you've got kids and a family, and you want to be able to do the simple things in life, like go on a walk. It was nice today. We took the kids out, and I'm not worried thinking, oh, this is going to screw my session up later or tomorrow or something like that. When you're prepping, yourself, you're prepping for a big contest, you become a selfish bastard. It's all about you, and it's nice to not be like that anymore. Just enjoy the training. My goal right now is to lose some weight and get fitter. Then I'll probably set myself some other targets. I want to do a bit of arm wrestling. There's always going to be something. I love challenging myself, but in terms of pro level strongman, it's time to move on from that. I must admit, mate, I was going to say something about the physical condition thing when you walked into Manchester the other week. You look like the bastard love child of the milk tray man and God. Not the milk tray man, then. When he came in all the black, and you and Liz had the matching couples black, and I thought, it's a good look. Strong, mate. It was strong. Yeah, you look solid, mate, and you looked happy. You look good. I do. I feel good. I feel relaxed. I mean, I've got a couple of injuries. That's just normal for me. Did the Dinny stones as well, and that's left a kind of weird, a bit of nerve issue in my left hand. Really? Yeah. So there's always something with me. But honestly, I'm at a point now. It's like if I get injured, I don't even care. I'm just like, it'll get better. There's people worse off, and I think sometimes as athletes we can almost be almost too selfish. We think it's the end of the world, and you can sometimes an injury is a good thing. It holds you back. It makes you focus on other things, and you come back even hungrier. You learn more,
and you can come back as a better athlete. So it's not always the end of the world. I think a lot of people give up too easily. They get one setback and then it's, you know, time to stop. I've had a number of setbacks.
Never be said about yourself, mate. My God, your willingness and desire to pick yourself up is second to none. And to be honest, mate, the sport needs you, Loz.
Thank you very much.
Like yourself that have been there, done it, ripped the t-shirt off, and you know, proudly put the flag on your chest and walked away with it. And that's something that you got to earn that stuff, and you did earn that stuff, and everybody watched you. We saw your trials and tribulations there, and it's just another chapter. So God knows where it'll go, mate. But I'm really pleased for you.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. You know, it's always good to talk to you about myself, but I brought you on for a different reason. So we are going to do like a Q&A. If you guys have questions for us, please. Liz is noting down the questions. So if you guys have questions for me or Neil in terms of strongman or arm wrestling, shoot away. But obviously, a couple of weeks ago, I see something going on online, and I ring you straight away. I was like, this can't be real. Yeah. Devon Larratt is stepping into a boxing ring to take on the Mountain Hafthor Julius Bjornsson, 2017 World Strongest, 2018 World Strongest Man, against one of the greatest arm wrestlers of all time, who we've just seen probably in the form of his life. You know, the biggest he's ever been, probably the unfittest he's ever been.
Also, yeah. Yeah.
But what a story. You know, obviously sad news that we don't get Eddie against Thor right now. Obviously that was supposed to be happening on the 18th. But Devon's an interesting character, and I know you're very good friends with him. So, and I know you've spoken to him. So what's kind of going on in his head?
Well, the funny thing is, mate, that day when you sent me the note, like, what the fluff, was I literally just put the phone down from him. I think I said
yeah, you said, yeah.
I was just looking around, and Matt Rhodes, I think it was that I was like, was it Matt Rhodes? I'm pretty sure it was Matt Rhodes. And I thought, is that a meme? What the frig is that? So I just clicked on it, and it's like, nah. So immediately I rung Devon. And he must have known it had just gone out, and Devon literally picked up the phone and he just went, "How about that?" And I was like, "Mate, you are not real." How? Why? What the?
Exactly why?
You know. And since then, we've spoken a number of times. In fact, I was actually on the phone to him about 15 minutes ago. Funnily enough, he's at TriStar in Montreal. And he had just been checking in with me on a regular basis, and the other way around as well. And it's really interesting watching Devon, watching the on-camera Devon and the off-camera Devon are both extremely interesting, extremely complex characters. And I think the story of this fight is really complex.
Yeah.
I'd have liked to see more from Thor, and I'm sure we'll get it. But you get the feeling also that Thor is not the trash talker, really. He's not comfortable, I think, in that environment.
No, he's awkward doing it. He's not like, I mean, Devon and Eddie both, it comes naturally to both of them. Yeah. And they're both great at it. I mean, I find Devon more entertaining than all three of them. You know, out of the three, I find him the most entertaining.
He really is an engaging individual. I mean, just the story of the man himself, the brutal reality of his existence, of his background, of his true self, his true identity, is incredible.
Yeah,
it's unique. I mean, we're talking about a man who is a top-class sportsman with a level of dedication and obsession that all top sportsmen have, who this sort of alter ego, this other side of him, was a professional special forces soldier. And, you know, I had so many instances where we were trying to set up a match for Devon. When I was running the Arm Wars Super Series back in the day, and we had it on Sky, we had it on Eurosport, and there was an enormous demand to get matches. to feed those matches out, and they had to be good matches. And obviously, Devon was a signature athlete of the Arm Wars. He remains the heavyweight champion of super heavyweights, champion of Arm Wars. And a number of times I'd called Devon, and it was always, some strange number, and you wouldn't get through 80% of the time. And then it'd be 2 a.m. and some grainy ass satellite phone would give you a call, and he'd be just like, "Hey man, it's Devon." I'm like, "All right, dude." I'm trying to wake myself up.
Yeah.
And call him from some frigging far-flung place, and he was just straight down the line, matter of fact. This is when I'm going to be back. Sometime he didn't know. Always up for it. Never evasive.
Yeah.
Loved the competition, thrived on the challenge, and was very, very. He sought the challenge. I used to say, taking the mickey on the WAL thing, that the man is a natural risk taker. That I made a joke that he's the kind of guy that would go to Ronda Rousey's house and take a piss and leave the toilet seat up. But joking aside, he really is a natural risk taker. He seeks it out. He needs it. Yeah, fascinating. Really.
You can see it makes him feel alive, doesn't it? He needs some kind of challenge in his life. You can't just sort of. There's no way that guy could just do a 9 to 5.
I don't think there is. I mean, you look at what he did for a living, and it's funny. We're talking about a fight, I mean, funnily enough, my background was in fights, but came into prior to coming into arm wrestling. That's what I did. And my whole family was sort of in boxing. I was never too concerned about fist fights, boxing matches, things of that nature. But I can guarantee you now, if I was in a situation where they said, "Oh, Neil, pick up that rifle, mate. You're off into this war zone," I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, that, a boxing match and getting shot at are two very different things. And that'd freeze me where I stood. Obviously, that isn't the situation with Devon. So Devon's, he's a grades above certainly a normal man like myself. He's a different animal.
He is indeed. And before we go on, we've got a couple of super chats, and they're aimed at you, Neil. So I want to quickly ask you. Firstly, Jamie Cotton, thank you very much for the super chat. If Neil could do one strongman event, what would it be and why?
Oh, great question. First,
arm wrestling. They've done that in strongman before.
Yeah, they have. But unfortunately, we'll take that out of it. If that was out of the equation, I'd probably fancy arm over arm.
Okay.
Or something like that. Just because big area of arm wrestling strength is lat pull. So anything with lat strength is huge. People think it's curling. Not really at all. It's having the integrity in your hand and wrist to hold your position, to maintain that, and then put all the power through your back. That's where it's coming from. So from that perspective, that will be, without a doubt, one. Upper body exercises definitely favour me. So I'd steer that way, and I think arm over arm is probably the one.
Cool. I know when you kind of got me kind of engaged in the lat more, it made such a huge difference to the power output that I'd have. What have we got?
People want to know if Neil would like to try Hercules hold.
Oh, would you like to try Hercules hold?
That's a really interesting question. I've never actually tried it. So
we need to make this happen at Giants Live, I think.
Actually, I have tried it of a fashion. I tried it. There was a TV show years ago called Britain's Hardest.
Was Ollie Thompson on that?
Ollie Thompson was on that.
Yeah,
Mark was on there. Various guys were on there, and they contacted me at the time. I was world champion at that time. They contacted me, said, "Oh, you want to come on this show?" And I'm like, "Is it serious or a joke? What is it?" And they said, "Oh no, it's serious. But we'd need you down there on Friday. This is like Wednesday night." And I'm like, "Right, okay, yeah, cool. I'll come, no problem." So I went down there, and one of the events was that it didn't actually get broadcast. They only broadcast 2 of 4 events we did.
Okay.
I won the first one. I was second in the next one, and I got knocked out on the next one. But the one of the events we did was effectively like a Hercules hold, and I won that. But that was against normal men. That wasn't against the strongest men.
Well, I'm sure. I know from training, with some arm wrestlers, the grip is, most arm wrestlers have a strong grip. So they've got strong hands, strong wrists. It's
a different grip, mate. It's a different grip. I mean, some of the guys that were from an arm wrestling background, most notably a very good friend of both of ours, Magnus Samuelsson. Now, Magnus has superb grip.
Yeah.
Always did have. But if you watch Magnus's arm wrestling career, Magnus would look like his wrist was not so strong. His wrist was, you could do something with his wrist. You could take his wrist away. The top guys in the world would disable his wrist.
Okay.
Now, the reason for that is because Magnus technically would be a crushing grip. He would crush that down.
Yeah.
Arm wrestling's flat fingers.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like holding onto bars, strong. That kind of movement, very different.
It is great difference, and that's the nuance that I'm not sure I know about myself. I don't know how I do with that. And also, my hand, it's just under 8 1/4 inches. It's not big. Got big palms, short fingers, but I'm not sure.
I think for Hercules hold, having thumb strength is really important, or being able like having crushing grip. So pinch type grip really helps because it's locking that thumb into the fingers that stops them opening up. If your fingers start to open up, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to hold it for very long. But if you can keep that thumb locked in, it's not going anywhere. So if the thumb is strong, you tend to be able to. And Mark Felix, for instance, I mean, I've got a diddy little thumb. Mark's thumb is up here, so he locks that in. And, for reference, I'll show you how good my grip is compared to Liz's finger. I got this diddy little thumb.
Holy shit! Look,
but it's strong. I'm very strong at sort of pinch type grip strength, 2-handed pinch, 1-handed pinch, those type of things. I can lock the thumb in real tight, and that helps with grip events massively.
Look at the stones thing you've just pulled off. I mean, I lifted some of the guys. Stevie Shanks was. I mean, I love Steve. What an hombre!
He's a good guy.
Stevie Shanks is iron. I absolutely love Stevie. All those guys who were there, and you know how you do. You've probably seen me do it a couple of times backstage at some of these shows. So you can't, you're going to walk over to and it's like, and then you just try something.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're at Allerton Castle, and it wasn't the Dinnies there. What's it? Nichols.
Nicholstones.
Awkward mother fluffers.
They are.
I'm in the old 3-piece suite, and I go over there, and everybody's. It was a very different day. It was more akin to Worlds, where you've got big breaks and it's raining like hell. And I'm talking to Stevie Shanks outside the front. And he said, "Have you tried to lift them yet?" And I said, "No, you know what? I haven't." And he said, "Oh, you'll lift them, okay? You should have a go in a little while." So I think, oh, maybe, nah, Anyway, everybody goes in and stuff, and I think, I'm on it. And I go down, and I tell you who was knocking about. Thankfully, not with her camera on. She was riding about on a scooter, but little Hannah, Eddie Bowles. And she said, "Hey, you gonna have a go?" I said, "Yeah, I was gonna, puff the chest down." I picked them up. I got them up okay. Nearly broke my fucking knees. They came in cracked. I couldn't keep the stability on them at all.
It's not just the grip with them that's the issue. I've had loads of people kind of saying, "Oh, I wonder what Mark Felix would be like," because I broke the Dinny Stone record. People are like, "Oh, I bet Mark could break it." Mark has very, very, very rarely beaten me on a farmer's walk. Yeah, I'd have to go back years for the last time Mark beat me on a farmer's walk. It's not just grip strength, it's being able to move with weight. And those are some of the most awkward things you're ever going to try and move with, because they're just bashing into your legs constantly. Doesn't matter how strong your grip is, just you find what actually goes is the leg strength goes, because they're just constantly being battered by these. The Dinny Stones, you're talking 188 kilos on one leg and then 144 kilos on the other. So you've got that imbalance to deal with. They're awkward as hell. And just trying to control them is extremely hard, because like a farmer's walk is fixed to the implement. So you can control it a little with the wrist. This is a ring attached to another ring. So you have no control of where they're going to move. You just got to really try and almost keep your legs against them and not let them get away from you. I was almost trying to keep the heavy one just slightly behind my leg rather than let it pull me out in front of me.
What was most remarkable about what you did when you were up in Scotland was the fact that number one, you weren't focused on it. Number two, you weren't even going to do it. And then you sort of got up there and just on your second attempt, you break the world record, which is, I don't know how many people are specialists in that, and I've gone up and tried and haven't managed it. Now, I don't know about you, but me doing just the nickel stones, I screwed my thumb up. I don't know what I did. I tried to hook my thumb, but they, like I say, they twisted. Jack my thumb up, mate. I was struggling.
They are horrible. I did the nickel stones and the Dinny Stones within a day of each other, and my thumbs were totally screwed.
Not.
Anyway, we've got another super chat for you, Neil. This one is from Dylan Pritchard. Thank you very much, Dylan. Would you say Devon's mind games is his biggest advantage in this match against Thor?
I don't know about the mind games, to be honest, Dylan. I don't know about the mind games, but what I would say is I think the mental reality of Devon and the mental reality of Thor is a very interesting dynamic. I love Devon. Devon's my friend. I actually like Thor. I've never had a problem with Thor. He's always been, for me personally, I mean, when we've spoken about it, he's always been absolutely fine with me. No issue with the lad at all. And he's obviously a magnificent athlete, unbelievable, chaotically strong. But in the initial fights, the warm-up fights that Thor has had, he's obviously been improving and evolving. Clearly, you can see that. He's not a boxer, but the guy's trying. He's giving it his best shot, and he's evolved technically, and he's improved technically, and he's an athlete, and he's a very, very big guy. What I think Devon may be able to bring to it from a sort of just a different dynamic. I don't believe Devon's going to close all these people who are saying, Devon's got a fight background and all like that. I'm not sure that's going to be. It's
not a street fight, is it? So it doesn't really. It's very different.
Boxing and MMA are worlds apart. I've done both, and they are worlds apart. Worlds apart. The way you stand, the way you throw shots, all of those things completely different. I don't think that there's a chance Devon's going to really close the gap in terms of technically at 46 years old.
5 weeks is not enough time to learn how to box. I don't care who you are. I did love that video he put up. I think it was Mayweather that he put his face onto. He's learned how to jab now.
That's ace, wasn't it? That's quality. But I think that Devon can bring a very different level of aggression. I think there's definitely a real parity between fight. Having done both, I can assure you this is true. Not in all athletes, people approach things differently, but in some athletes, they are aggressive in arm wrestling. They are in your face in arm wrestling, and on occasion it can spill over them and end up in a situation nobody wants. But it is there if you get two really red line guys. Now, Devon, as I said earlier, is in a different zone. He can take this to a completely different place, and he's extremely intelligent, smart with how he does that. And Devon deviates, and he's very difficult to read through the build up to the match, to the fight. He will change. He's friendly, he's endearing, he's calm. Suddenly he's more aggressive. He's not confident. He's projecting a lack of confidence. He's projecting he's an underdog. And then suddenly he's got more confidence, a newfound confidence, a very believable, very dramatic confidence. And that, if you're the guy that's going to arm wrestle Devon or fight Devon, I'm sure that's a little bit like, wait a minute. You're trying to get a read on how this guy is mentally.
Yeah.
And it throws you a little bit. Now, I don't know, and I don't know. You had Donny Greasy on the other day. He's the only guy that knows, and the people in the inner circle of that, whether this is exhibition match, whether this is, try and take each other's head off. I really don't know. But if there is an unrestricted environment, I don't believe that Devon can close the gap technically, but I do believe that he can bring a different degree of aggression, which may be something Thor's not used to.
I kind of feel that this fight can't be an exhibition because, I don't know if it is, but I understand a boxer stepping in and, we want an exhibition, we want Thor to get better. But for that to happen, you need to really be more skilled than the guy you're up against.
Yeah.
Now, you can't really do that with two. Thor's been doing boxing a little while now, but he's no pro, and Devon is stepping in with 5 weeks training. You just like having a white collar boxing match, I guess. It's
interesting to know how that's being perceived. If you're the Vegas odds makers on a fight, you're going to be looking at all the disparate elements that go to put that fight together. And you're going to be making, and let's just say we were talking about two boxers here. Okay. We're just in a situation where two of the greatest fighters in their weight class in a generation of four, Roy Jones Jr., Mike Tyson. If we were speaking about those, I remember when Sugar Ray Leonard came out of retirement to fight Marvin Hagler, and the questions were, it's around age, it's around length of time he's been away, and they were boxers.
Yeah.
They were boxers. Devon's never has been a boxer, and he's 46 years of age. So, fight background, come on. What fight back? It's a different thing. It's
literally, like, for me, the only option Devon has is he's got to be aggressive. I
think so,
and I think we need that to make this entertaining.
Oh, mate, I would.
It's not like watching a highly skilled boxer and you can kind of just admire the technique and stuff like that. We want to see some, we want to see some big punches. We want to see a scrap between these two guys.
I really do. Listen, I don't want Thor to get hurt. I don't want Devon to get hurt. But I kind of want to see them beat the out of each other. You know what I mean? In a way, you want to see that, like, throw the friggin' satchels down schoolyard tear up. That's the kind of thing that's going to be. This lives and dies by it.
Yeah,
it does.
It's still. I still can't. I'm still sort of sat here talking to you. I know it's happening, but I still can't believe it's happening. It's and also. This was always built up to be a fight between Eddie and Thor. We understand that. There's a lot of hatred between these two. These two guys genuinely do not like each other.
Yeah,
Thor and Eddie, there is genuine hate there. You know that yourself. We've seen it all. They do not like each other. Devon and Thor, there's no issue between these two guys.
No, Devon. Well, this is the fascinating thing again with Devon. People talk about, in a competition or in a competition setting, there's a switch. There's an ability to move from this person to that person. I want to say Devon has probably, and speaking to Devon would tell you his ability, his necessity, his reality to be able to find that guy, find the different guy, find the man who can step outside of himself and do things where you've got to have truly remarkable mental resolve and mental focus at a degree of commitment that few men are ever asked to attain, I think is way above the normal man. And it's probably the same with any combat soldier, professional soldier. That is what interests me here. Will Devon bring that? Can Devon? Is this situation of great enough significance that he can bring that guy to the match just from an aggression levels perspective? So in other words, he is gonna go for it all in.
I feel for this to be entertaining, he has to.
I think so, yeah.
I think if they just get, what's that?
I wonder what Thor thinks. I wonder whether Thor thinks easy day.
It's going to be interesting because, I totally get this from Devon's point of view. It's a challenge for him. It's a great opportunity to keep growing his profile in a different area. He's already got a hardcore following that will hopefully come and watch the fight. But I've seen the thing saying, Thor's going to fight someone that's irrational. It's not a trained boxer, and same with Eddie. Eddie's not a trained boxer. Eddie's coming in to knock Thor's head off.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, it's interesting. I had Eddie on the other day, and Eddie was. I mean, clearly Eddie was trying to work the fight as well. I mean, if you're Eddie Hall, you're going to be thinking, right, okay, so the guy was going to fight. I've just got seriously injured. I've had to step away from the fight. And typical Eddie, he was ready to take the fight. I've got to make sure that people in what's going on here do not forget about the fact that this is really about me.
I was going to ask you about that. Do you think people are starting to get a bit bored of waiting for this fight? And now, they've decided, rather than make it all about Thor versus Eddie, bring in someone that's entertaining, bring in someone that can bring a crowd. Because, Devon can bring a different demographic. Whereas Thor and Eddie are going to bring the strongman fans, Devon is bringing a whole host of arm wrestling fans that before they announced this would have no interest in watching Eddie versus Thor.
I think what it is, it's a very viable filler. It's and no more, no less in some respects. And it's an opportunity for Devon to network show the very clear crossover between strength sports. And there really is one, you know, that fascinating,
Absolutely,
that crossover. I genuinely believe that the real fight, the fight that's really got purpose, got emotion, got all of those things, is still Eddie and Thor. Because all of the people that are involved in and hardcore fans of strength sports are aware of that. They've picked a side. They've become, you know, they've nailed their colours to their respective chest. It's funny for guys like myself and you know both men and are at ease with both men. It's sort of less emotional.
yeah.
It's more emotional, but at the same time less. And we probably perceive it differently. And I think that when Eddie was on the show, as I say the other day, I think he was pushing to remind people, hey, I know this fight's taking place, but the real one, it's in March and I'm in it. And making sure he's making sure that that's a read and that everybody, that the emotions reignited, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie's very serious about this. I mean, Liz was talking to Alex, his wife, and, you know, she says he is 24/7, you know, it's consuming him right now. And, you know, he wants it out of the way. He doesn't want to keep pushing it back and keep pushing it back. So hopefully it does happen. We've got another question for you, more strongman related. Sarah Storr, thank you very, very much for the super chat. Yeah. Strongman would be a sadder place without Neil's commentary. He never fails to make me laugh. What's the funniest moment you've had while doing Strongman? I mean, some of the things you say when we're at competitions have me in stitches. I got to kind of throw that out there. I mean, yeah, I mean, the Mark Felix comments. I think you referred to Terry as a 6'6" erection once.
You know what? Some of my. I mean, Mark's got a great sense of humor. Mark Felix is such an underrated man, such an underrated individual. He's such a smashing, down to earth, genuinely lovely guy.
He is.
And one of the things is with the strongman community, there are so many genuinely good blokes and good people. In that, even in the team, the whole environment, it's fabulous to be involved with. Some of my favorite fun times, some of the stuff that I really laugh. I'm a big fan of banter. You know, when we're
we
take the piss, and you know, and that's how we go, right? So there are certain guys that don't do banter as well. Probably the godfather of that, who ironically I've got. I mean, he's a bit of an idol of mine. Is Bill.
Yeah.
Bill is Bill's Bill. He's just Bill Kazmaier. What do you want to say? The man is amazing.
Oh, he's a legend.
Oh my God, genuinely. Like, you know, that gets thrown around. That man is a legend. I mean, when I was a baby, I was sat on my dad's knee, I was watching Bill Kazmaier. It's an honor and a pleasure to be in the same arena, presenting a sport we both love with someone who is a genuine icon, you know. But I can have banter with Bill, and I try and break it down, and you can see Bill's sort of looking at me, and he's ready to take your head off. And some of Bill's stuff, some of Bill's comments and things that he comes at, I mean, the classic one, the Brian Shaw one, mate, that is irreplaceable Kazmaier. I mean, when you're going like, you know, he's like, Brian Shaw, world's strongest man. He's like, Brian, explain to the people gathered here today what it feels like to be so strong. When you step onto the earth, the very ground beneath your feet shakes. Tell them what it feels like, Brian. Because I already know. Mate, I cried. I mean, there is no other. Bill Kazmaier, who comes out with that stuff. I absolutely love him.
He comes out with some amazing stuff sometimes.
Magic.
He's a good character. He's good to have around, and in person he's a diamond. But he has his moments. But I got to give you some credit there for your Kaz impression. It was on par with is it Pa Maguire now or Pa O'Dwyer?
Yeah, Pa Maguire thing at the end of it. Oh, that Pa's a great dude, isn't he? He's got, you know, a lot of fun. We had a taxi ride to the last gig. I was in the back with Pa Gav the Bull, and one of Pa's friends was over, and the banter was flowing. The typical Irish banter. Good lad, really good lad. And he's at Europe's. He's coming up. So yeah, good to see these guys. But those are the funny moments of the stuff that's not on camera.
behind the scenes stuff, isn't it? We're all a bit more relaxed, and you don't have to. Well, have you ever been warned to like tone it down ever by the guys?
I've been warned by Bill Kazmaier. You know, a couple of the gags, like I have the one with when I said to him, and these I don't like rehearse the gags or anything like that.
Oh, I know.
So Bill's at the side of me, and Bill is one of those guys who will remind you. I think it's not bitterness, but there's a sort of desire to just make sure that you know that these guys are lifting an Austrian oak that's beautifully crafted, that's made in purpose, that they've got in their gym back home and that they've trained for 9 months to lift. And that the log that he lifted in World's Strongest Man still had the fucking squirrels living in it. So I come out with a gag along those lines. I said, you know, like he's telling me in the show, and he's explaining to the crowd. He says, hey, Neil, these guys, you know, they're very strong, but back in my day, we were working with imbalance logs. And he said, and it's all absolutely, it is true, 100%.
Absolutely, yep.
In what the man is saying. But I'm trying to make light of it, not take the piss out of Bill, but I'm just having fun with it. And I say, you know, back in your day, you had to worry about a pissed off squirrel coming out biting on the nose. And again, I look across at Bill to see if he's like getting the banter and he's going to give it me back. And Bill's just got that look in his eye. And I'm thinking, oh, shit. You know, I go, oh.
You're in trouble now.
Yeah. Bill, I love you, dude.
He's a great guy. And, you know, we're going to see lots more of him this year. Obviously, you guys will be doing the Europe's Strongest Man show next.
Coming up, mate. Coming up. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I love the fact that they're cascading in. I mean, for guys like yourself, the competitors, the demands, the physical demand. I mean, look at Novikov. Jesus Christ. Novikov's at the shore. Then
he's had to pull out of the shore.
Has he?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good.
I do.
It's going to help him come into Europe's, but yeah, it's just so many shows for the guys right now, and it's brutal on the body. Absolutely brutal.
Count. I mean, we saw the Stoltz. You know, they performed at the Royal Albert Hall, and they went out there and gave it their all. But you've just come off Worlds. Both are carrying significant injuries, and I like the fact that that Giants Live are very comfortable around. Okay, we want longevity for these guys, which makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah,
we don't want to push them over the hill, and having a roster of guys who are entertainers, who you do need to develop those characters and let them shine. It makes a lot of sense for that to happen. So I'm happy, like you are, to see some of the guys like Chek Sonu or Iron Bibi taking a little breather as well when he damaged his arm. Yeah. And I think it is important that you utilize that roster and allow some of these guys a little bit of time just to heal up.
The thing is, we have so many great athletes now. There is literally hundreds of world-class strongmen out there. And
I mean, look at the crop now, and everybody's not talking about Janashir and Kielishkovsky.
Yeah.
I mean,
Lissis as well. You know, no one's talking about him right now, but he's coming back. I think World's Strongest Man next year could be extremely exciting. Oh. Have we got any questions? I know Liz is writing down questions. So if you guys have more questions, feel free to let us know.
So Floric asked, in your opinion, was there possibly a more suitable opponent to replace Eddie Hall instead of Devon Larratt?
Was there a more suitable opponent for Devon, for Thor to fight?
Yeah, rather than Devon.
You going to get that? Do you want me to pick it up on?
It's a difficult one. I mean, there was talks of Mariusz Pudzianowski coming in there. Mariusz has been fighting for a long, long time. I know they were in talks with him. Obviously, you know, both parties couldn't agree. I think Mariusz would have been Mariusz isn't a boxer. I mean, he did do a bit of boxing early on in his career, but he's an MMA fighter, essentially. He's probably a bit too much experience and too much of a loose cannon to put in against a man that has only had a couple of we can't even call them amateur fights. He's had a couple of, you know, sparring rounds.
The tune-ups, aren't they? I mean, anybody who criticizes Thor for that, I'd have to disagree with, because
I don't think I could be more excited for anyone else other than Devon.
I would agree, mate. I mean, my perspective on it really is, it's actually, I think, you know, to compliment Don Idris, I think that Don has done a great job. I think it's a masterstroke. I think it's a magnificent move in many ways, because purely from a business perspective, Don's been, you know, I'm not spoken to the guy, but I can only imagine the difficulty that they've had to go through in terms of pulling something like this together. I mean, originally it was Vegas, then it was moved to, I believe, Jacksonville, just at the time, I think, when the Florida COVID rates were spiking, and that gets pulled. So you've got a situation where he's facing into remarkably challenging circumstances. And then if you'd brought in someone like Mariusz Pudzianowski, for me, that's a little bit too close to, forget the fight background, from a narrative perspective, it's a little too close to Eddie Hall versus Thor, you know. Whereas Devon, it's just that kind of what the moment, and the unknown, but the intriguing character, that absolutely intriguing character that Devon clearly is. It does bring a level of interest, the background and all of those things. And I think the other real masterstroke there is what I was talking about earlier, that crossover between strongman and arm wrestling. There's a degree of interest there from a lot of genuine strongman fans. And let's be honest, those are mostly the guys that are going to be tuning in they're the ones who are emotionally attached to the Eddie Thor thing.
Yeah.
So it brings in a new crop of guys, the Devon hardcore, who are very committed from the world of arm wrestestling. So from a business sense.
Yeah, from a promoter's point of view, from the business sense of view, it makes perfect sense because, like you say, you bring in Mariusz, the same people are kind of, you know, paying to watch the fight, whereas Thor brings a completely different fan base and a hardcore fan base as well. I mean, Devon,
the Troll Army, my God.
Yeah, well, we've seen them; they're all over the place and
mobilized.
Be interesting to see how Thor copes with that.
Well, you know what? I haven't been looking at that, but I wonder whether the Troll Army have mobilized against him yet, because that's a thing. That's a thing.
It is. We've got a couple of super chats coming in again. Tony Moreau, what's your take on Shaw's reaction to Arnie's recent opinion? Did you see that?
I did. Yeah. Principled individual, Brian. You only have to sit with Brian if you know Brian personally. Very, very principled guy. I've always found him a very straight bloke. He's a proud American. And I think that the comments there have obviously been a little bit incendiary to him. The context that Arnold was putting the comments in, I think, can easily be misconstrued and can be taken a little bit out of context, and it can be put somewhere where it's a little bit more emotional than it perhaps needs to be. I think the choice of words from Arnold were probably, if he could retract them, I'm sure he would.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same, to be honest. I think people are kind of taking a very, very small snippet and blowing it up. And I'm sure Arnold, if he kind of could have said it again, would have said things slightly differently. But
we've all been there, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know, you'll say something and you perhaps think, you know, I could have probably chosen my words better there, but it doesn't mean that the emotion and the you know.
I think a lot of people are overreacting to it, and not kind of seeing the kind of substance of what he was talking about. They're just seeing a couple of words, you know, and jumping on a bandwagon. To be quite honest, I think it's so easy. I mean, I did see some kind of funny memes. I think it was Alan Thrall was doing some, and I kind of, you know, I'm quite a laid back character. I like seeing the joking around and stuff, but it is a serious subject to a lot of people. And
it is.
You do need to be careful with how you word things. But Arnold is a very smart guy. Brian's a very smart guy. They both know what they're doing. It's a shame, I think, because I've got a lot of respect for, I mean, obviously a lot of respect for Brian, but a huge amount of respect for Arnold as well. I think he's doing, you know, a tremendous job. And this is you know, what we're dealing with right now. It's a real thing. It's, as much as I would like to just get back to normal just like that, there are people that are suffering. And at first I was very much like, oh God, this is, you know, a pain in the ass. But you are seeing people, you know, I've got 5 clients out of my kind of roster of clients that I train that are all suffering with COVID right now.
Well, Aaron the Rage. I mean, that if anything, you know, brings things home, the death of Aaron Page, certainly for me, that put me on my ass a bit. I mean, you know, Aaron was a good lad.
Yeah, he's a very good friend of mine, and You know, it's a difficult one. I'm very much, you know, supportive. I want to get back to normal. I want to, you know, but it's one of those subjects that, you know, people want you to take sides, and I think, you know, deep down, I'm one of those people. You know, I want to take care of my own health. I want to sort of take my own risks, and you know, be it on me if anything happens. But you know, you've got to kind of respect other people's health as well. And I think that's what Arnold's doing. You know, Arnold's you know, he's been in the fitness industry however many years. He's had an amazing career, but he's looking out for other people as well. And
I mean, I've had the pleasure and the honor of spending quite a bit of time on numerous occasions with Arnold and speaking to him. And if you converse with Arnold for any period of time, he's a very down-to-earth, very straight guy. I don't think for 1 minute that there was any negative sentiment for anyone.
No,
what Arnold said, I just don't think there is. I don't think that.
I think as a strength fan, as an Arnold fan, you've got to kind of look deeper into what he was saying and understand it wasn't meant in the way that so many people have then tried to portray it online. So we'll move on from that one, but
we got to cut the man some rope. I mean, for all strength fans, we all owe Arnold Schwarzenegger a tremendous debt of gratitude. He's elevated all iron sports, he's all strength sports.
And I'll tell you something about Arnold. He's a genuine strongman fan.
Oh yeah,
you know, he loves the strongman stuff, and you know, he did powerlifting back in the day. He genuinely loves it. So it's disappointing, you know.
It is. It's just another example at the moment of a lot of frustration in the world, and there's evidence of it, and it's understandable.
It's very true. Right, moving on to a little bit more upbeat. Andy Clegg, thank you for the super chat, buddy. Will Mr. Pickup ever run out of words to describe levels of strength? I love guessing which words he may use next, such as cataclysmic, ghastly, etc., etc. What's your favorite words that you use to describe strength? And will you ever run out of them?
Yeah, I probably will run out of them, and filth is my favorite. Filthy strong.
Filth.
Yeah, that is.
Your mind's full of filth, mate.
Yeah. You're killing a dream. To be honest, mate, you just said it about Arnold. He's a fan of the game, and since I was a pup, since I was a baby, I have sat back and admired strength. I love it. It's in my DNA. It's in the fiber of my being. I can't, if I'm not doing something to do with strength on a daily basis, I don't know what I'm doing. I have to be reading about, talking about, watching strength, strongman. I'll be walking. I'm watching Julius Maddox the other day going for the 800. I'm watching. If there's somebody trying to pick up some heavy shit, I'm in. I am.
I'm exactly the same. Have been for as long as I can remember. To be honest, I would have done many sports, but I've always been fascinated by strength and power, and strongman, powerlifting, weightlifting, etc., etc. It's just always fascinated me, and absolutely love it.
What's the best thing in the world for me is being incredibly lucky to be around and to witness firsthand the resurgence in strength sport generally, in strongman, in arm wrestling, in all these disciplines which are going through the roof. I mean, you only have to look at strongman now. Look at just UK strongman, the strongman scene. I mean, Britain's is coming up, okay?
That's going to be. I'm super excited about Britain's this year. Like, seriously excited.
Necessarily. I mean, if you say, okay, well, who should be invited? Jesus Christ, I could easily name you 20 lads who, for whatever reason, you should have there.
It's going to be interesting to see what the lineup is for Brits, and it's also going to be interesting to see how many athletes they have. That could be interesting, because if there's only 10, I reckon I can pretty much name 9 of them right now. Yeah. But I'd like to see a few more opportunities open up. Just give a couple of extra guys an opportunity. That would be good to see. But, the standard is so damn high. It's hard to give too many people an opportunity if you've only got 10 spots available.
it's the blessing and the curse, isn't it? Because you want to see this, you want to see the evolution. I mean, the fact that Eddie won World's Strongest Man in 2017, Tom Stoltman wins the most recent Worlds, and me again. You know what I mean? And within that, Tom Stoltman didn't win Brits.
He's never won Brits, and he's the world's strongest man. That's how crazy high the standard is.
Bar is aloft. You know what I mean? So it's an awesome time to be in. If you're into strongman, Jesus Christ, welcome to the present, motherfucker.
I think Tom has to come in hungry and wanting to win the British title this year. It's going to be interesting, though. I mean, you think I've retired, Terry's retired, Eddie retired, Luke Richardson is injured.
Felix is warming up.
Felix is still going. You know, Felix will be there, no problem at all. He's kind of just getting started. But then you've got Graham Hicks, you got Luke and Tom Stoltman, you got Bish. Those four are sort of your guarantee. Then you got Paro Dwyer, you got Gav Bilton, you've got Andy Black, who's just kind of burst onto the scene this year, doing absolutely amazing.
Andy Black,
yeah. I'd love to see.
What a weirdo! What a weirdo! How much do I love him?
He's brilliant.
He's Iron Dick. I love him. What a man. If you're not into Andy Black, oh my, what a weirdo. He's been training for 2 years. He comes in and does a 425 dead.
You know, he just broke the Dinny Stone record. No, Nickel Stone record. I've got the Dinny Stone record. Yeah, the Nickel Stone record. He beat Luke Stoltman's record last weekend. Yeah.
That man is carved from a filthy cloth.
Think what he's going to be like in a couple of years.
Oh my God! What an exciting prospect! Look at Scotland right now. Giants going to Glasgow. You've got Andy, Tom, and Luke.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the guys behind those three are bloody good as well. There's a whole list of, go back 10 years ago, we didn't care as we could go into Britain's Strongest Man, they'd be like sending the Scottish guys, you would never worry about them. Now you got potentially 3 guys that could get on the podium.
Mate, ridiculous level. And Andy Black, now it's great when there's just somebody comes in who, he's just got that, what the fuck?
Do you know what I love about Andy as well? Is like everyone looks at the youngsters. They're looking at these youngsters kind of improving. That there's these freaks out there that just come into the sport and you can never kind of like plan for it. And
it's iron. What an hombre. What an hombre that is. Yeah. And he's also the nicest, straightest, funny dude. He's a
good guy. He is.
Quick-witted, great lad. Dropped into the event, and I say dropped in. You knew he was coming.
You can't not know he's coming. Look at the size of him.
Mate, that's a big boy, isn't it?
He is.
Do you see his feet? He was like Hamburglar. His bloody feet were like 3 foot long.
But that just shows how important genetics are sometimes in these sports. You see it in arm wrestling, you see it in strongman, powerlifting, bodybuilding. They're massively important. Quickly go through a couple of super chats. Oh, I've lost one. There we go. Tony Monroe, thank you very much, my friend. It's great to hear us mentioning Aaron's name on the channel. He's one of his former clients. As you say, it really brings home the impact of this pandemic. I look at your signature at Barbell Division each time. Aaron was an amazing guy, and someone that was just on the up. He was getting really close to. Do you know the sad thing? I don't know if you must know this. He was actually invited to World's Strongest Man, and he couldn't sort out his passport in time, and then literally a couple of weeks later, everything kind of hit him. So devastating. But Aaron won't be forgotten in the sport. On the 20th of November, I am refereeing the Aaron Page Classic. Brilliant. They're going to be doing like a log lift championships or a log lift event to honor Aaron, because that was his favorite event. And then there's a full competition that's taking place as well. That's down in Southampton at the Barbell Division. So if anyone's in that area, 20th of November, we're going to be celebrating Aaron for sure. But there we go. Neil, do you know about the Shaw Classic that's happening this weekend?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So Bron Chopped One, thank you for the super chat. He wants to know what your top 5 for the Shaw Classic would is going to be. Your prediction.
Ooh. Wow.
It's,
I'm interested to see. I spoke about one of the guys that I'm very interested to see come back into there. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Constantine is still in.
Constantine is in, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm very excited to see Constantine Janashia and how he does there.
He's a very consistent performer, which I think is going to be important in this show.
Yeah, I did have Novikov up there. So him pulling out, I think kicks the doors off. I do agree that's a good move. Obviously with no Stoltz, they've got a family commitment. It's always difficult with things like this. I mean, you've got guys like sleepers, just remind me the events, mate, we've got, because Bobby Thompson's there, isn't he? And
there are 8 events. They've got a squat, they've got max log, they've got a hammer tire deadlift, they've got a yoke, they've got stones.
Wheelbarrow into arm over
wheelbarrow into arm over arms. There's a weight for height, isn't there? And dumbbell. Might be something else as well I missed up. But I mean, it's 8 events.
I'm going to talk about a sleeper for me and someone who, again, I always think, and I've got to pick my words carefully here because it's one of my favourite lads in the sport. But I think sometimes he's had confidence battles within himself, but I think his potential is really vast. I think statically he's one of the best guys in the game. And I think everybody would have to sort of doff the cap on that. And that's Hicksy.
I totally agree.
I have a lot of time for Graham. I spend a lot of time at events speaking to Graham and so on. And he's such a down-to-earth, modest, humble individual. And I sometimes think that he doesn't put himself in that elite echelon, in that really upper echelon of potential. And I so disagree with him. I think he's rock strong.
Absolutely.
And very well-rounded. And if he can show up there and he's on his game, I think he can do something, mate. I think he can do something. I think Janashia's probably a favourite for me because we've no Kilishkovsky, have we? He's in for Ultimate. I had Novikov up there. Similar thing. Novikov just extremely well-rounded, and I liked obviously the dumbbell in there. He's standalone with the absence of Kilishkovsky in many ways there for that. But I'd love to see Hicksy do well. I think Janashia is going to take some beating. Yeah. Bobby Thompson's a sleeper. Is Ferris involved?
Yes, he is. Yep, Kevin's in it.
Yeah, Kevin's in.
Yep,
I love him as well. He's great.
No,
the other thing that I'm, without being sort of too edgy in my bets, I'm also conscious that some of these lads are coming to Leeds as well.
Well, Hicksy's going for the log for Max this weekend, a log for Max at Europe's next weekend.
Yeah,
that's tough.
The out thing and the whole. Let's be honest here. These lads are professional athletes. They make their living from lifting big weights for money. You've got to have that in your back of your mind. So I think sometimes there's the, you're thinking attrition and you're thinking how much can I earn here on what events and where do the events stack up best for me? And in that environment is when I'm really going to put it to the boards. And I'm sure that a lot of the guys have that in the back of their mind. I always feel like for the US lads, if they're competing in the States, there is a genuine advantage. I know when I went all over the world, if I was going to Japan, if I was going to Russia, if I'm competing in Ukraine and I'm pulling a Ukrainian, I always feel like he has the advantage if he comes to me.
Yeah, we have the advantage. Yep.
So I think you've got to factor that in. But I like those consistent performers. And if I'm backing a man, I'm probably going Janashia.
Okay. If anyone wants to know, I'll be back in Shaw. I think
he's gone. Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Firstly, because he's an incredible strongman. Before I make up a load of reasons, let's just get one thing straight. Brian is an incredible strongman.
Yeah.
Then you look at the events. There's no real. I mean, if in his prime there was no weakness. Now log and deadlift are a little bit down, but he's still good enough to score decent points.
Back on throw for height, and he makes it back on dumbbell, and
And there's no Tom Stoltman there to beat him on anything like weight for height or stones. Brian Shaw is still second best stone lifter in the world.
Now, I heard a rumor that he was a little bit busted up from Worlds. Is he good? Is he?
He looks like he's good. And then there's the factor of the altitude that he's used to. He's used to being in altitude. He's in his back garden, pretty much. That's a big factor.
That's
so
a point well put.
I think it's going to be a great show. I think guys like Evan, after his performances in Giants Live, he's feeling confident. He's going to do well. And I've said JF Caron as well. I think you can never count out JF, and he likes it when I don't big him up. But he's probably going to do terrible now because I've said he's going to do well.
I'm going to change my bet. I'm going with Evan.
Evan, there you go. Trey Mitchell's competing. Liz is picking Trey to do really well. It's a really stacked lineup, and it could be so much better. That's the kind of crazy thing when we talk about the standard in strongman right now. It's just getting better and better. Jiminy Crickets, how are you doing, buddy? I like this idea. So what he's kind of put into you, he wants to see a Giants Live show based on the first ever World's Strongest Man. Same events that we had in the 1977 World's Strongest Man, and see what the guys today could do in a show like that. What do you think of an event like that?
I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure that it would be necessarily within the Giants Live arena show tour, because I think the format that they've got, obviously it's that your brand is your everything.
Yeah.
And I think that they've put together the best show in the world. That's my honest opinion. I think it's the best show in the world. And I think that there is room for other things within the Giants portfolio, and Darren Sadler, extremely intelligent individual, always looking for those kinds of things. And I think that the concept, I think, is wonderful. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. Really strong.
You got a super chat from Dan Hammerstorm. He said, "They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom." Brian Willie Shaw, 2021.
You've got to do it in the right accent, Ozzy.
You can do it. You can do it.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take away our freedom.
Liz, what are you doing sat out of shot? What are you doing, Liz?
I'm hiding.
Get your ass in shot, woman. What are you playing at? Wait, get a minute. Come on,
she's getting on with some stuff. She's got work to do.
I'm just a hand.
World's Strongest Blacksmith, thank you very much for the super chat. Do you think we can see a battle between Bobby, Pena, Evan, and if to pull 500 kilos on the Hummer tire deadlift at the Shaw Classic? I think the record is more than 500
Yeah,
kilos.
what is it, 536 or something like that? Is it?
Yeah.
Got it now. It's
Sorry?
Novikov's got it now, hasn't
No, JF Caron has the record.
he? Has he? Okay.
Yeah, it was a great battle last year between JF and Jerry Pritchett. Those guys were going head to head, and it's one of the first times I've really seen Jerry get pissed off because he was looking awesome, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
But JF from that height, I tell you who I'd love to see.
Rated, isn't he? My God, Jerry.
Massively. I'd love to see Felix on that setup. He's extremely good at it, and it's like his kind of height that just suits him. He's got such incredible lockout power on deadlifts. He's not so good for the max lifts from the floor. He doesn't quite have that power off the floor. But when it comes to that lockout strength, a couple of years ago, I mean, he did have the Hummer deadlift record and he made it look easy.
Did he?
But now the guys have pushed it up to something crazy.
What weight that, mate? What weight?
Sorry?
What weight did Mark do?
I can't remember off the top of my head, to be honest. If anyone knows the weight that Mark Felix pulled, let us know. I'd have to look back in the archives. But right now, it's JF Caron has the record.
What weight is it? Do you know the weight of the current record?
I think it was 545, something like that.
Have to check.
I'd need to check, but it's around that kind of area.
What an impressive athlete Gabriel Pena is.
He really is.
Human being.
Oh, first time I met him was in Manchester, and just absolutely lovely guy. You know, my kind of views on him just kind of went through the roof because he's a great athlete to start with, but just a great person as well. That makes a big difference to me when I meet people. You know, it's all well and good being strong, but I don't care if people are strong. I care how they treat other people, and you know, just the way they are. And he was just a lovely, lovely person.
Superb guy. Really, I mean, I think all the crowd got it as well. You know, you talk about these guys that can come in and are just naturally endearing. To be fair, you've got that, Loz, in bucket loads. You always have. you know, and everybody knew it. Everybody can see that. It's that warmth and approachability, and you always had that, and Gabriel's got the same thing. I felt.
But he's got something I don't have.
Go on.
He's got a full head of hair.
He does look a little bit like Jesus.
Strongman Jesus.
Jim. But he was sort of in that new guy in the fold thing, and he was sat sometimes on his own. And you know, I made a point to try and go over and say, "How you doing, dude?" And I know you were talking to him a lot, so you having a drink in the hotel. My little boys were going to come over and try and get crashing heads.
Arm wrestling.
Oh, funny stuff, mate. But
I'm going to quickly apologise to Dan. I think I butchered his name when I
You did. That's
sorry,
a
Dan.
Swedish name.
Yeah.
I don't know what you said.
What other questions have you got for us, Lizzie?
Okay, bear with me just 1 second.
Getting her on it.
Hold on. Those have all been asked. The bitter end asked, how long does it usually take a strongman to recover from doing a full show, and how do you think this is affecting them this year with the shows?
With the multiple competitions? Yeah, it's a good question. And it varies from person to person, contest to contest, events that are in the contest. Take someone like Zadrunas in his prime. He'd do a lot of competitions, but he'd only go at about 80% of his capabilities.
Yeah.
You know, back then he was so far ahead of so many people that he could use them as training sessions.
Yeah.
Whereas now the standard has just improved so much. I mean, myself and Terry used to do a lot of competitions. We did a lot of the Strongman Champions League shows, and you do them back to back. And, you know, looking back, I wish I didn't. It was good in terms of getting experience, and it taught me how to compete. But, you know, I did seven shows in 6 weeks once. And on that 7th show, I tore my labrum. There's only so much the body can take. And you just start seeing competition after competition. Your level just goes down a little bit. You're struggling to recover. You can't really train in between those events. So all you're trying to do in that time frame is just maintain the level that you've got. But it comes down to events. So if it was just, back then we would do what I'd call normal weights on events. A yoke might be 400 kilos, farmers might be 140. Where some of these big shows now, the weights are ridiculous. And particularly when you start going for the maximum weights in terms of like a log, a deadlift, they really take it out of your body. I remember when I pulled 430 kilos for the first time. I pulled 430 at the British Championships, first time I won it. Yes. No. Yeah, I did 430 at the XL. You're right.
With Brian one day, I remember.
Brian Shaw was there. Yeah. So I pulled 430. The week after, I went and trained with Darren Sadler, actually, and I ended up struggling to pull 300 kilos. And it's just your central nervous system is so fried. Now, add on top of that these guys competing in the Shaw Classic are then going to have to fly back, or fly over for some of them. I mean, the British guys and European guys are going to fly there, fly back. The American guys are going to fly over. Oh, they won't be flying over. It's not an American comp. It's European comp. So, but you've got like Bish, Hicksey. I think it's going to be very hard for them to go over to the Shaw Classic, recover in time to come back and smash it out at Europe's Strongest Man. Unless, say, someone like Bish decided, right, I'm just going to use the Shaw Classic as a warm-up. I'm not going to kill myself, and I'm going to, smash Europe's.
I'm going to be honest, I'm strongly of the opinion that would be the case. I don't know. We will see, I guess. But I do believe that's the kind of, that's the kind of environment we're looking at. And I think a lot of these guys were making those. They're making those choices in their head. You do it with arm wrestling. You'd go out, you'd have tune-ups, you'd have technical tune-ups, and you'd have, okay, it's on now. That was how your year was planned out. And I don't think there's any difference with Strongman. Certainly speaking to the guys, just when they walk into them, you know how it is.
They're a lot more professional about their whole approach these days. I think it's going to be very tough for a lot of the guys because what have we got now? We've got the Shaw Classic this weekend. We've got Europe's next weekend. Then you've got the contest in Dubai. There's the RAW Classic coming up. There's Scotland, the Giants Live in Glasgow coming up. Britain's Strongest Man. There's the UK Arnolds.
The UK Arnolds coming
up. So there's just competition after competition. There's no way someone can just keep going through all of those and keep performing at top level. Some more super chats to get through. We have Tony Moreau. Thank you so much. Should there be a strongman event where everything is raw? No straps, no belts, no suits, no underwear, no nothing? Or is that going backwards in terms of safety? I'd like to see comps with, say, no straps on a deadlift and no suits. I'm absolutely fine with belts. I think belts offer a lot of protection, especially when we look at the weights that these guys are lifting. But I would like to see a deadlift for max without straps, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with some of these things. It's how you format the show. I mean, one of the things that always interests me is I'm not sure there's the general awareness from the normal guy, the demands. You talked about the central nervous system thing, the demands that are put on the athletes with the speed of competition and the necessity to, okay, we've got a show. This is the show. These are the time limits. This is where we're at. I mean, look at Manchester's an amazing example. Okay, so let's focus on that. We got a situation going into that night where, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd say less than 10 men in the world had ever done 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, I
don't know what the exact number was. Probably 7 or 8 guys. And then we go in there, and suddenly you're thinking, "Duh, is going on?" You've got like 6 or 7 guys at 1,000 pounds. Everybody goes clean at the opener. Everybody goes clean at
7 guys pulling 1,000 or more. No one. I think the lowest anyone pulled was 425.
Yeah, and that was Andy, who'd never done it before, and that was a PB, and he was on like a couple of days' notice.
Well, there was a number of them pulling 425, but 425 is a massive weight.
Massive weight.
Huge.
Unbelievable weight. Like you say, a few years earlier, not far off, it's going up towards world record level. Now, which just again underlines that Andy Black is in fact a weirdo.
I hope he's watching this.
I'll tell you what, mate, he's mega. Coming away from that night, Andy,
Do you know one thing? When we talk about a weirdo, he actually pulled 1,000 pounds up to his knees.
Yeah, he didn't realise what he'd done. He's such a humble, such a straight.
And he was crapping himself before that event. He was so nervous.
As you would be.
Yeah, first time at that level.
It's boomer bust moment, isn't it? It's like, I got the invite to the big show. Shit, here we go. Now I've had a couple of days. No, it's not ideal. And the guy comes out and he murders it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What an hombre.
But I think some things can be done. I like comps where there's no suits, mainly because I hate deadlift suits, if I'm honest, and squat suits. I think they should be left in powerlifting. I like that about the Arnolds. They don't let them use suits at the Arnolds. I don't believe Brian is letting people use.
So you've just had a super chat from Bron Chopped, who said in Shaw's Q&A, he said no suits, no knee wraps, and no figure of 8 straps.
No knee wraps on the squats.
Knee wraps on squats.
Presumably, yeah.
That's interesting.
It's a cast squat, so it's not a.
That's interesting though. That changes things because some athletes are just used to training in knee wraps. So that's interesting.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you very much. It does change things. Yeah. And I think I'm getting a bit fed up of seeing the guys kind of slip the bar down into their fingertips and stuff like that. The problem is you cannot then compare a deadlift done like that with straps and the suits and stuff compared to say a Bill Kazmaier when he was lifting.
Yeah.
So you can see why Bill gets a bit upset sometimes, because it's not a fair comparison.
Yeah. The irony with that is, for me, you get guys like some guys are so comfortable in their own masculinity and level of achievement. I mean, the perfect example.
Magnus is a great example of that, isn't he?
And another one for me is Andy Bolton.
Yeah. I
remember Andy Bolton, who for me is almost like the godfather of the deadlift. He's an absolute
absolutely
of a bloke. Straight as an arrow. In his prime, a truly awesome strength athlete, And Andy Bolton, at the time when Eddie did the 500, I remember all the negativity that was surrounding that. And I was speaking to Andy, and Andy was the most chilled guy in the place. He was just enjoying the night and seeing somebody do well in the discipline that he was the torchbearer for, in the same way that Eddie was that night. And his absolute level of comfort with that when he was the guy. I just thought, you know, I couldn't get my hat off far enough. And Andy Bolton is, as far as I'm concerned, the man's iron.
Yeah, I mean, without question, took the deadlift to another level. So Dan has sent another super chat.
Let's try his name.
I want you to pronounce it this time.
No. Right, Hammerstrom.
Yeah,
Hammerstrom.
Hammerstrom. Dan, thank you again for the super chat. This is a ridiculous request, though. Loz, can you reach out to Magnus Samuelsson to see if you can make an arm wrestling collab? You're both retired, even though you're breaking records. Magnus would destroy me at arm wrestling. You know, even now, if he's not been doing it for 15, 20 years, he would still destroy me at arm wrestling.
You can't do it,
oh, we can do a collab. You know, we can. Well, I can only go right-handed at the moment.
Hey, you're just warming up though, Loz. I mean, who knows where you can go with arm wrestling? You know, when we can get some miles on your clock, get you some training, and start to.
I love your confidence in me.
You're on in the comments, but a lot of people wanting to see you versus Larry.
Me versus Larry Wheels. Can we make that happen?
I'm sure that could happen. Yeah, I'm sure that could happen. You know, you at the moment you. I mean, we were going to do some training. We came down to your place. We never really got a chance to do anything because we had very minimal time.
Yeah.
But the potential is there. With at the moment, if you were a dragster, if you're a drag car, at the moment your tires are this big. You're not putting the power down.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's just all we got to do is put different tires on, and you'll go fast.
Well, I want to get back into it. I need to spend a bit of time recovering. The trip to Scotland ended up messing up my biceps, but luckily I'm stronger in my lats, and you said that's more important. So
it is 100%. You got it all there. It's just knotting it together. That's all.
Thank you. Well, I need to come up and get some training.
Let's go.
Can you get Benny Magnusson on Talking Strongman, World's Strongest Blacksmith? I would love to, and I have tried, to be honest. Benny is an interesting. I love Benny, actually. I absolutely love Benny. You know, when I was in person talking to him, used to get on really, really well. But he's just a bit of an enigma. Sometimes he just goes quiet, and you don't see him for a year, and then suddenly he's back and, you know, chatty, and, you know, he goes through stages of different things. But if I get the chance, I would love to have Benny on, because that man, he's actually an amazing strength athlete. I mean, amazing deadlifter, obviously, but he's actually a really funny and interesting character. He's into so many different things. He's so smart as well. Like, people will probably have no idea, but he knows about everything. And if he doesn't know, he's just one of those people that he'll learn how to, you know, fix everything. And, you know, he just learns about everything. He's a very smart, interesting character. I always like talking to him. Yeah,
very articulate bloke. Very, very, you know, you really, if you get him.
You can have times where he just won't say anything, you know. I mean, I can tell you some funny stories about him, but, you know, I think 2014 Europe's, when him and Eddie were going head to head on the deadlift, you know, you got I think it was Caroline Pierce was interviewing him. Okay. And he was just completely blanking her. You know, he was just not interested at all. I think one of my friends was staying at the hotel. Sorry?
Did you upset him or something?
No. She didn't upset him, but he was so focused.
What did she say?
He was so focused on the lift, he's just blanking everything.
I've seen the clip.
Yeah. But one of my friends came to watch the show, and he was staying at the same hotel. He was in the same elevator as Benny in the morning, and he gets into the lift. And my mate's kind of like a straight-laced guy, you know, and he says, "Oh, Benny, how you doing?" And Benny just kind of sits back and just goes, "Horny." You know, and Benny at the time was about 180 kilos, looked like he's ready to tear this guy's head off. Benny's one of those guys that likes making people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, he just gets off on it, and he just does stupid stuff to make people feel a little bit on edge. But he's a great guy, honestly. I've had some good times with him.
And can that man deadlift? Oh,
damn. Any more questions? We'll wrap this up in about 10 minutes, but have we got any more questions for Mr. Pickup or myself from anyone?
Lenny B asked about, could you name 4 future strongmen? So maybe people to look out for, upcomers.
Have you seen any up and comers that you think could do really well?
We're talking strongman now, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, Andy Black. My God, Andy Black. When
Yeah.
Andy Black, have I mentioned Andy Black is a weirdo?
Lion dick.
Yeah, you said he's a weirdo with an iron dick. That's
I'll tell you what, Andy Black, Jesus Christ. No, I think I'm going to say a guy on the rise right now, really on the rise, and a phenomenal potential is the Rex. I think Evan Singleton is a remarkable potential.
yeah.
I think he really is. And I think there's a number of other guys that if they can get their game straight and they can tap into things, they're showing that little sign of real ability to get to a different level to where they're at now. And I'm picking my words carefully because I don't want to say that people aren't technical or aren't. But when you watch the manner in which they approach the whole event, you can see that there's steps away from some of the other athletes in terms of the approach, the technicality of all. I'm going to say Gavin Bilton's another one. Gavin is trying hard. He's a lovely guy. I think a little bit like Graham.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily put himself in that environment. You talk about someone like Eddie, right? Eddie was the guy who was unbelievably confident.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, motherfucker's more full of himself than a Russian doll. Now, you kind of need that.
Hey, I remember the first time I saw Eddie. Long time ago. We did a Midland Strongest Man or something like that. You know, Eddie's been around a long time. People don't always realize that. And I remember his first comp, and he was a cocky little shit.
Yeah.
He wasn't particularly good, but you could tell there was something about him that this kid was going to be good.
Yeah,
and he absolutely 100% believed it, and you just saw that progress, and he just got better and better and better. You know, he knew he was going to be the world's strongest man right from the start.
Yeah, narcissist power.
Yeah,
and the thing is that a lot of great athletes have got that degree of ingrained self-belief.
Yeah,
and I think that there's something you can unlock there. You know, I think some of these guys, if they can unlock that. And confidence can be drawn from different places, you know. But I do think guys like Bolton have got real potential. I think Kieliszkowski is an incredible strongman. Lisis, an incredible strongman. And there are other guys that can take a leaf out of their book in terms of the approach. For me, Brian Shaw was the most professional strongman of all time.
Yep.
Incredibly diligent approach to the, you know, I remember him at Arnold's one year. We'd been competing, we were arm wrestling beforehand, and Brian's going up there and he's on the frame carry. And he's going along the frame carry and he's looking for dust particles and stuff. I mean, you know, I'm blowing it and I'm thinking, are you fucking serious? But that's the difference.
I've been at comps where Brian is getting a tape measure out, measuring things. He is extremely professional, and yeah, you got to tip your hat. And you know, he's probably one of the greatest of all time, if not, I mean, in some people's eyes, the greatest of all time.
And I think as strongman progresses, and if more money comes into the sport and more opportunities come into the sport and more sponsors come into the sport, which is obviously going to start to happen. I think if you've got very professional, I mean, look at fight sports, okay? The camp, you'll have a camp and you'll have a jiu-jitsu guy and you'll have a boxer and and they're working to prep a fighter for a fight in certain ways. And you see that fighter evolve. You imagine you take a raw talent like, you know, Gavin Bolton, Andy Black, some of these guys, and you look at the guy, you break him down and you rebuild him.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you'd see that real potential start to emerge. And some of these guys, superstars can be, you know, Luke Richardson's a great example of a man who's still young. He's raw. And the other exciting thing is that guys like Andy Black are out there. So you know, we got official strongman that's coming up and things like that. Where's the next one?
I think we're going to see so many new talented guys coming through. Like you and me obviously follow the British scene the closest. So I can tell you some up and coming British guys that I think will do really, really well. But there's guys like that all over the world now that are getting inspired by these guys. You know, obviously at the moment, the biggest two nations currently are the States and the UK in terms of fan. I'd say UK is the biggest in terms of fan popularity. Probably highly, you know, thanks to Giants Live.
Yeah.
They've done an amazing job. But now you've got the WUS guys that are doing a great job in the Middle East.
Yeah.
If we can kind of keep bringing these different regions, if we can get like, you know, Asia getting more into it. I mean, they've got some ridiculously good weightlifters over there. They've got talented athletes. It's just making these talented athletes see the sport that we do. I think, I want to do that. We're going to start getting some absolute mutants coming into it, you know, and I'm going to sit back and just be glad that I retired because I think we're going to see things get better and better and better.
Negativity surrounding the debut of Pavlo. But, you know, everybody's excited about Nakonechny's deadlift potential. But to be honest, at the age he's at, there was a great deal more to Pavlo than a deadlift.
Way more. I mean, I was kind of really impressed by his medley, the farmers into the drag. You could see the power that was there. Yeah. Lacking experience,
yeah,
tremendous power. I mean, his pressing was really good. Needs a bit of work in terms of really challenging the top guys. But he's got, I mean, what is he, 24 years old?
Yeah, he's a pup. I mean, you know.
And he's a mutant as well when you see the size of him.
The guy, I kind of hope that, I mean, he just needs that little maturity in a lot of areas. And I hope he gets that. And I hope that people aren't too judgmental of him too early. Obviously, he's done things that aren't great, that are bad, that are problematic. And you never want to see in the environment at all. And I think he's got to come to that realization. But the raw potential of the guy, I hope he can just find that maturity, move past that, put it to
exactly that. I spoke to him the other day, actually, you know, and he's a very, very talented young man. He's made a stupid mistake. He's going to have to, you know, pay for that a little, but I don't think he should be kind of blacklisted from the sport completely. I think, you know, maybe a year out from Giants Live and then give him an opportunity to redeem himself and show that he's grown, not just as an athlete, but as a person as well. Yeah, you know,
it's kind of like with the greatest respect to the guy, a little bit like that, you know, daft as a brush moment. Something that's off the wall, like, what the, come on, mate.
I mean, people kind of talk about like guys getting into fights all the time. And yes, as men we do, but there's situations, you know, I don't give a damn what their history is at all. I'm sure you don't. You know, if people have issues with each other, they have issues with each other. But it's the environment that you react to things in, you know. It
was daft as a brush. I mean, you've got ladies in there. It's just the wrong time, the wrong place. You're
at certain points there was children in that room. You know, it's like a family room. People kind of can go in and out. It's supposed to be a safe environment, you know, and
it should be. This is
but people say, oh, you know, strong men fight all the time. I've never seen two guys fight actually come to blows in almost 20 years of strongman. Magnus Ver has been in longer than I have. Colin Bryce has been in, you know, almost since the start, and they've not actually physically seen two guys actually hit each other. So it was a shame that happened, but, you know, I've been in fights before. I'm sure you've been in plenty of fights before, especially when we're younger. I certainly don't believe he should be kind of alienated from the sport. I think he's too good a talent to start with. And, you know, he does...
Everyone deserves a second chance.
Yeah, everyone deserves a second chance. And, you know,
24 years old. At the end of the day, he's a young man. He's wired up. He's in an environment where there's a lot going on. I'm sure he's extremely frustrated and disappointed that he did.
Absolutely.
That he made some mistakes and probably was harder on himself than he actually should be.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to, you know, he's good. There's a degree of snow blindness there. He's coming to an event he's not experiencing. But in terms of raw ability, raw potential,
absolutely. And I spoke to him, like I said the other day, and I said, look, apologize to the right people, and I'm sure you're going to get that second chance. Yeah. You know, I know that he made a video with Matt Rhodes, and, you know, but he needs to apologize to the actual people that, I'm not even talking about Novikov. I'm talking about the organizers, the women that were looking after him that day in terms of, you know, other things that went on. And I think he'll get a second chance for sure. Come back, learn from it. You know,
for everybody, if he does, the guy's a prospect. You know,
absolutely.
You look at the past of some of the great athletes.
I mean, did you see his deadlifts in training? I think he pulled 470, 475 in training. That's mental.
He is astronomically powerful. As I say, the shocking things were there that you don't give people the rope they deserve, in terms of the fact that he is as young as he is. He's come into an environment, he's traveled overseas, he's come into an environment he's not used to. You saw the guy when we were over there, he was sort of fish out of water because he doesn't know anybody. He's not, when you go into the room, everybody, hey, Lars coming up, everybody knows you. Terry comes, same situation with all the guys that you see. Yeah. Pavlo didn't have that. Pavlo's got his little entourage, couple of guys there, and he's secular and he doesn't speak the language. And there's something lost in translation, and there's cultural differences. He's a young man out of his environment.
Yeah.
Those are challenging things. And he probably set the bar very high for him. There was massive expectation.
He genuinely believed he was going to pull the 505.
Oh, yeah.
You know, talking to him beforehand, there was no question in his mind. And he's got, you know, we've seen that. Guys like Thor, guys like Eddie, they have that mental approach, and we know how good they are. This guy is going to come back. He's just got to learn from the mistake, keep training hard. I'm sure next year he gets a chance, and I'm sure he's going to go on to do incredible things.
I really believe that. And the other guy, I don't know whether I mentioned him fully, but Singleton. That's a bad man.
Yeah.
That guy is getting better. The strides he's made, the level of commitment he's made.
I had a great chat to Evan. Is it going up tomorrow?
Yeah.
So we've got a chat with Evan going up tomorrow, and he is so hungry right now and just wants to keep getting better. I genuinely believe he's going to be a title contender.
Oh my God, 100%. I couldn't agree more. He's got it all there. He's so well rounded. He's mentally tuned in. He's got that irrepressible hunger. You know what I mean? That
and the great thing with Evan is he's made these incredible strides. He's got way better at so many events. And you look at him and you think he can still get better at these things.
Yes, he can.
You know, watching, there's still improvements to be made, and that's an exciting prospect.
And he's starting to. Originally, he came over, and obviously he's a polarizing character. He's misunderstood. He's trying to make a show. He can, you know, overplay it, underplay it. He's learning that. He's a young man himself. He's actually a bloody nice bloke.
Yeah. He is. Really absolutely lovely guy. Bloke. Were you going to say something?
You've got 2 more super chats.
Oh, sorry.
So, World's Strongest Blacksmith, thank you. He said, look up John Furr. I'm probably butchering this name. Furh. Furr.
Yep.
He won GSM this year. He's great. What's GSM?
I don't know what GSM is.
Georgia's Strongest Man?
I wouldn't be Georgia's, I don't think.
What's
and it's
G?
Not Germany, but it's not German.
I think he's talking about the German, isn't he?
No, because John Furr didn't win Germany's Strongest Man. I don't know, but look him up.
Okay, I will do. Well, we will look him up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and to see the guys like that are just, you know, on that. I like to think that the development and the evolution of things like official strongman is opening the door up to so many. I think there's a resurgence in strength all over the place. You know, you're seeing more attendance and more interest and professionalism in the smaller shows that are going around. You know,
there's a guy that I train that's going to the official strongman games, and he's from Greenland. So guys in Greenland don't ever get an opportunity. Kim Urax is his name. I genuinely believe this guy could be a top level contender. He's already deadlifted 420 kilos. He's putting like 180, 190 kilo logs overhead. He just needs a bit more opportunity to train with some decent guys, with some decent kit. But, you know, he trains in the snow out in Greenland in a dingy little gym. I think if he gets some opportunities, he's going to be great. And I think going to the official Strongman Games is going to be good for him. Get over to the States. I'd love to give him the chance to come over here once travel situation is better. But there's so many guys like that are all over that we don't even know about, that if we give them these opportunities, who knows how good this sport is going to be? Who knows what we're going to see? People said 500 was impossible. Who's to say we don't see 600 kilos in, you know, the next 20 years?
Nothing, mate, because you know, like you hit the nail on the head. Everybody, I was very up close and personal throughout that entire experience. I was there. Everybody's laughing. You know, oh, that can't be done. People saying catastrophic injuries, all kinds of things. And here we are now. and the game has changed. And you know, you don't know what's out there. You don't know that special guy.
Yeah.
Did I mention that Andy's a weirdo?
Have we got one more super chat?
Yeah, two more.
Two more.
Bron Chopped. Hi, Bron Chopped. Is the Giants live ban a thing?
I'm the wrong person to ask. You'd need to ask Giants. Is the Giants live ban a thing?
So, do people get banned from Giants Live?
I've never actually seen anyone get banned before, but I've never seen a situation like we saw.
Not seen that.
That's a question we'd have to put to Colin or Darren whenever we see them. But
Colin should be coming on soon. So.
Oh, there we go. Colin is coming on soon, so we will talk to the main man himself.
There we go. And Jiminy Crickets, Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. I've gotten so strong. Just last week, in fact, I carried all the groceries into the house in one trip. It was crazy.
That's good progress, my man. He's evolving.
Filthy.
Both a lifter and a human being.
He's getting back into the gym now. He's got to get his strength back. Right.
Good time to wrap
Yeah, we will wrap it up there. Thank you very, very much for coming on, buddy. It's always good to chat to you. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you get over to the Supernatural channel and follow Mr. Neil Pickup. He does some awesome interviews with mainly arm wrestlers, but you talk to a lot of strength athletes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, Loz, I've not wanted to stand on your toes as well, because this is your thing and you're the strongman. So I've got the niche going with the arm wrestling. Obviously, that's my game. I'm very, very interested and love to talk about strongman. I love coming and talking to yourself about this any opportunity I get. I could sit here and talk all day with you.
We probably could talk about arm wrestling and strongman for hours, but I appreciate you've got things to do, mate. So thank you very much for coming on. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the chat. Thank you to everyone that gave us a super chat. Thanks for all the questions. And we'll be back with more strength action soon.
Cheers, guys.
Is that